We can all spot great leadership when we see it. But what about leadership that actually lasts? Turns out that's a whole different ballgame. It's the real unicorn. Getting CEO succession right is, well, it's one of the most critical things a company can possibly do. And if you get it wrong, oh, the consequences are just massive. So today, we're going to dive into a totally new playbook that might just change how all of us think about leadership for good.
All right, so just how expensive is it to mess this up? I want you to take a look at this number. That is $1 trillion with a T. According to McKinsey, that is how much value gets completely wiped out every single year, mind you, just in the S&P 500 from fumbled CEO transitions. That's not just a big number, that's a full-blown catastrophe. It really shows you just how incredibly high the stakes are here. And that trillion-dollar figure really just hangs in the air, doesn't it? It begs the question, why is this so hard? I mean, why do so many smart, brilliant leaders end up failing to make that transition work? The problem might not be with the leaders themselves. Nope. It might be with how we've been thinking about the job all along. And the answer might just lie in a new kind of playbook, one that's outlined in the book A CEO for All Seasons. See, after studying 200 of the world's most successful CEOs, the authors found something pretty profound. We've been looking at leadership all wrong. It's not some single static skill set. It's a journey. Okay, so here's the core shift in thinking. The old view, the one we're all used to, sees the CEO role as this relentless climb to the top, kind of like a linear sprint. But this new playbook, it reframes the whole thing. It's not a sprint at all, it's a cyclical journey. A journey that has distinct seasons, and each one brings its own unique challenges and, of course, its own opportunities. And that brings us to the really cool metaphor at the heart of this whole idea, the 4 seasons of leadership. I want you to think of a CEO like a farmer, right? A farmer doesn't just do this same thing all year round. They adapt to the season. Well, the same thing goes for leadership. It's not about being just one kind of leader. It's about being the right kind of leader for the right time. So let's break these seasons down. You've got spring, which is all about preparation. Then comes summer, the big launch. After that is fall, the long haul. And finally, winter, which is all about legacy. Each one is a totally distinct chapter in a CEO's journey. Let's dive in. First up is spring. And here's the real kicker. This season starts long before you ever get the job offer. I'm talking 2, maybe 3 years before a transition. This is the time for what the authors call last mile development, filling in those crucial skill gaps so you can hit the ground running. It's all about planting the seeds for your future success. Then we hit summer. This is kind of like the honeymoon period. That first year or 2 in the job is this really unique unfreezing moment. The entire organization is just primed for change. This is the CEO's golden opportunity to really make their mark, to set a new vision, and to take the bold actions that are going to define their entire leadership tenure. You know the old saying, right? You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Well, for a new CEO, that's basically gospel. This whole summer season is all about absolutely nailing those firsts. We're talking about the first board meeting, the first big investor call, that first all-hands meeting with the whole company. Look, these are not just items on your calendar. These are your auditions. You get them right, and you build the kind of momentum that will carry you through for the long haul. Now, after that initial burst of energy in summer, we enter the fall. This is the long, hard middle part of a CEO's time in charge. And you know what the biggest enemy is here? Complacency. Success can be a total trap. The best leaders, they know this. They deliberately create new waves of growth, new S-curves, to keep the organization sharp, on its toes, and ready for whatever's coming next. This quote really gets to the heart of what the fall season is all about. A fantastic example is Ken Frazier, the former CEO of Merck. During his long and really successful run, he didn't just keep the pedal to the metal the whole time. He strategically built in these moments of renewal, times to kind of pause and reset. It's a masterclass in understanding that leadership is a marathon, not a sprint. And finally, we arrive at winter. Now, this isn't just about finishing your term. It's about building a real legacy. The best leaders use this time to send it forward. They set up their successor for success. They make the tough calls now so the next person doesn't have to. And this is so important. They turn their company into a leadership factory, an engine that creates the next generation of great leaders. Okay, so we have these 4 very distinct seasons. It's a really powerful idea. But how do you actually use it? Because this isn't just some nice metaphor. It's a practical, hands-on toolkit for boards and for leaders to make much smarter, more strategic decisions.
For a company's board, this framework is a total game changer. Instead of just looking at the quarterly earnings report, they can start asking much better questions, like, is our CEO acting like it's summer, taking all these bold risks and shaking things up when the company is clearly in fall and really needs steady renewal? This allows for a much smarter, more supportive partnership between the board and the CEO.
And once you start thinking this way, well, everything changes. Like how you pay a CEO. Should you really be rewarding them for explosive growth in the fall, when maybe what the company needs most is stability and resilience? It also changes how you hire people. You're not just looking for some rock star with a perfect resume anymore. You're looking for a leader with the self-awareness and the adaptability to navigate all 4 seasons. So as we start to wrap this up, it's pretty clear this isn't just a playbook for CEOs. It's a new way of thinking about leadership at every single level. It's a really powerful antidote to that always-on, growth-at-all-costs culture that just leads to burnout and, frankly, bad decisions. And here it is, the core idea in a nutshell. Sustainable success isn't about being some superhero who never sleeps. It's about what they call situational fluency, knowing what the moment truly demands. It's about being a farmer, not a machine, knowing when to plant, when to harvest, and, crucially, when to let the fields rest. And that brings us to the final question. And this isn't just for the folks in the C-suite. It's for every leader, every team, every single organization. Understanding what season you're in, whether it's a time for bold action, steady growth, or maybe a thoughtful transition, that's the first step to real success. So what season are you in?